देवे गौरशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone. Good evening for our discussions. So we are not we have a different topic today. We are looking at Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1. Mainly, we are doing that in the honor of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, whose disappearance day is tomorrow. So he liked this verse very much. It is said that once in Dhaka, he gave a class on this verse for 30 days. I mean, every day he spoke on this verse only for 30 straight days, which indicates that these verses can be spoken in so many different ways. And we will look at that today. Also, I want everyone to appreciate the Sanskrit, as in as we will be seeing the various meanings. All of you will be able to appreciate that Sanskrit as a language has such a superiority that no other language actually comes in any comparison to that. Right. So anyway, without much further delay, we'll start off. So I'll just recite this verse once, and then we will go into the discussion. जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थ्वेषविघ्नस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदयादिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि. So what we will be doing is, I'll just once read the translation of Srila Prabhupada and then we will start. So Prabhupada translates this as follows. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Sri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universe. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion. As one is bewildered by illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen in water. Only because of him do the material universes temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. So this is the translation. Right. So what we will be doing is, we will go word by word. One second. Yeah. So we will go, there are basically 9, parts to this. I have just split this whole verse into 9 parts. You can see that Janmatyasya yatah anvayad itarascha arte shabhignyaswarat tene brahmahriti kavye mukhyanti yat surya tejo vari mridam ita vinimayo, then yatratte sarkomrsha, then damna svena sada nirastakvakam, and then satyam param dhimahi. Right. So like that. So what we will be doing is we will look at the various translations, only of these parts. We will begin with Prabhupada's translation, and we have for comparison here Sridhara Swami. So, I have been, as I have been studying these various commentaries of Sridhara Swami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, etc., you realize that how deep these commentaries are. So, in fact, Sridhara Swami's commentary is considered original, and almost everyone who has commented on Srimad Bhagavatam has taken something from Sridhara Swami. That's why we see in Chaitanya Charitamrita also, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that you cannot avoid Sridhara Swami when you are talking about Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? So if you see this verse, Janmadyasya yataha, okay, so this Prabhupada translates as from whom the manifestations of creation, maintenance, and destructions happens. That means Janma Adi. Here Janma means creation. Correct? Janma means creation. And Adi means what? Etc. So basically creation means maintenance, destruction, all these things. asya yatah, from whom these three things happen. Okay, so that means we are referring here to the Supreme Lord. Sridhar Swami in his commentary, he says that any thing in this world, if you want to refer to someone, there is a Swarupa Lakshan and Tatastha Lakshan. So he says Tatastha Lakshan means indirect characteristic. Like for example, Swarupa Lakshan means you give an address of a person and say that, okay, this is his address, go to his home. Tatastha Lakshan means sometimes we can, we show the address to somebody by pointing. We say maybe, hey, look at that building where there is a crow on top. That is the house of the person you want to go to. Okay, so the fact that there is a crow sitting on top of his house is not a permanent reality, right? That is why it is called as Tatastha. I mean, it is not always there. Maybe in another 5 minutes, the crow will fly and go away. But still, it is useful because when you say, well, suppose there is a line of houses and someone is asking which is the address of this person I want to meet, and you point to that house, then that person understands, oh, there, I should go there, and he goes there. This is Tatastha Lakshan. So similarly, Sridhara Swami says, from whom the manifestation of creation, maintenance, and destruction is Tatastha Lakshan, because creation is not always happening. Correct? The material universe themselves are temporary. So sometimes it is happening, sometimes it's not happening. So that is why this is called as Tatastha, right? So what is Swarupa, we will see later in the verse. But I'm just trying to give you a hint that this is how the commentaries are. It's just great fun to look at these aspects, right? And it's very relishable actually, not just fun. It's relishable. Okay. Now look at the other thing, right? Anvayad itaratascha. So Prabhupada translates that as directly and indirectly responsible. Now this word cha in Sanskrit, it can be and, it can be also. There are many meanings to it. So in different contexts, different meanings have been used for the word cha. So here Prabhupada used is at and, directly and indirectly responsible. So Sridhar Swami elaborates that by giving some very interesting examples. He says, Anvaya means positive affirmation. Vyatikarena means negative affirmation. So this Vyatikarena word itself, Itarataha means, actually Itarataha means something different. Itarataha has several meanings by itself. Itarata can mean indirect, Itarata can mean something else. Itarataha, it can mean something else. So in this context, Anvaya also means in Sanskrit a positive affirmation. So in that case, Vyatikarena means the negative affirmation, something else. So what is something other than positive, negative affirmation? Sridhar Swami gives an example, just like smoke and fire. Okay, so one way of saying is that when you light fire, there is smoke. That's a positive way of saying it. Another way of saying is, where there is no fire, there cannot be smoke. Correct? So that is negative affirmation. Where there is no fire, there cannot be smoke. So when we say the Lord is the cause of creation, maintenance, and destruction, positively it means Lord creates. Other thing is, if the Lord is not there, creation, maintenance, destruction cannot happen. Are you able to understand that? Right? So the Lord is the cause of creation, maintenance, destruction. That is Anvaya, positively saying. Another way of saying is what? If the Lord is not there, or if he is not there in the equation, then none of these things can happen. So just like saying, if there is no fire, there cannot be smoke. So that's the Vyatikarena, the negative affirmation way of saying. So this is how they explain these themes, right? So you get a lot of illumination on the text. Then look at that other things. Arteshu, Abhijna, and Swarat. Okay, so three maybe adjectives you can call have been spoken. Arteshu means what? He knows the purposes. The Lord knows the purposes, why he has created material world, why he is doing all this. Abhijna means what? He's fully cognizant. Swarat means he's fully independent. Okay, so these qualifications have been spoken. So Sridhara Swami elaborates these words by saying that why is he called as Abhijna? Because he says somebody may say that, let's meditate on Pradhan or material nature. No, but Pradhan or material nature is not Abhijna. Right? You cannot, it's like there are people, right, who say that let's worship nature only. There is nothing higher than nature. No, this nature or Pradhan, it is not Abhijna. So you have to worship something that is Abhijna. Supreme Personality is Abhijna. Or someone may say, let's worship the Jivas only, the souls. No, but the Jivas are not Swarat. Okay. And Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavi, he imparted Vedic knowledge to the heart of Brahmaji. Okay, so again, Sridhar Swami here he says that somebody may say, let's meditate on Brahma. No, but Brahma also you cannot meditate because he himself learned it from the Supreme Lord only. So how can you meditate on Brahma? Then Muhyanti at Suryaha, which means the sages and demigods are illusioned by him. That's how Prabhupada translates. So Sridhar Swami says that, can't we say that Brahma, now see, if you know about something about the creation maintenance, now, every night there is destruction, right? And every next day, again, Brahma has to create. But when he wakes up in the morning, again, he has to meditate on the Lord and get that Shakti to create. Okay, it's not something like what they call in Nyaya, Supta Pratibuddha Nyaya. That means somebody gets up in the morning and immediately he remembers everything what he's supposed to do. So it's not like that with Brahmaji. Why it is not like that? Because even intelligent people are bewildered and this entire cosmos is very complex. So Brahma has to meditate daily morning. Now here the commentary gets interesting. Okay, now look at this. This Tejo Vari Mridam Yata Vinimayo. Correct. Yatra Sargo Mrisha. One is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire, like this mirage or land seen on water. Sridhara Swami gives the example of glass as water. Right? Sometimes glass may look like water, right? Glass looks like water, or sometimes water looks like glass. Like we read in the Mahabharata how Duryodhan, when he came to the Pandavas' palace in the Indraprastha, he got confused, right? He saw the marble and he thought it is water. And later there was actual water, he thought it is marble. And he fell into it. So these are the examples given to talk about bewildering. Okay, now here, now see, Prabhupada, what he does is, Yatra Trisargo Mrisha. This word Mrisha, see, the beauty in Sanskrit is, you can see it as Mrisha or you can see it as Amrisha. If you see it as Amrisha, then it means true. And if you see it as Mrisha, it means false. So it's so beautiful that every Acharya and every explanation, they can use either meaning and a completely different context comes up. Correct? Now, Prabhupada, what he basically says is, he says that this material world, which is bewildering, which is having this illusion of Maya, this appears to be Mrisha. This is actually factual. Factual means Prabhupada is actually using Amrisha. You understood? Prabhupada is actually using Amrisha in the translation. Because he wants to say that the material world is actually real, which is made up of the three modes. Now, if you see Sridhara Swami, what he does is, now this was very interesting. And when I started reading this, I came to know this particular thing. That Sridhara Swami, it seems that in many places, or at least in the beginning place itself, he sometimes uses an impersonal understanding. Okay, so why he uses an impersonal understanding? It is said he uses an impersonal understanding with a logic called Badisha Amisha Nyaya. That means he uses sometimes a bait to catch the impersonalist, because the impersonalist will not read any scripture if some impersonal vyakhyan is not there. So he uses some impersonal logic in some places in his commentary so that these people come. So this is what the Vaishnavacharyas say about him. Right? And since we know that Lord Chaitanya accepted Sridhara Swami as a Vaishnava, so we accept this particular perspective. Okay. So what Sridhara Swami does is, he says that, hey, look, Tejo Vari Mridam Yata Vinimayo. In any foundation, sometimes you may see something else. Like, let us say in fire, you see water, like a mirage. Mirage means what? Actually, it is fire, right? It's hot sand. But in the sand, you are seeing water. So he says the foundation there is fire, but you are perceiving water in it. So he says the adhishtha or the foundation is real, and what is perceived is unreal. Okay, so he says that the Brahman, which is the foundation, is real, Supreme Brahman. And what we perceive, this whole universe, is actually unreal. That's what he's saying. You understood? Tejo Vari Mridam Yata Vinimayo. So that's how he translates it. By saying that there is a foundation and there is a perception. Like a foundation is fire and the perception is water in a mirage. So similarly, he says the Adhishtha or the Brahman from which everything has come is the real and the appearance is unreal. So he uses here, instead of Amrisha, like Prabhupada uses, he says it is Mrisha, false. So he says this whole creation is false, but it appears as truth because Brahman is truth. Okay, so that's what he says. So this is an impersonal point of view. Where the impersonal point of view, what they do is they say the material world is false, but because of the Supreme Personality, Brahman, from whom it appears to be true, but actually it is false only. Okay, so that's how he translates it. Now, what Prabhupada has done is, Prabhupada has taken that concept only, correct? In his, Prabhupada has taken from Sridhara Swami only, by and large, in his commentary, at least in this verse. But what he has done is, he has not translated like that. He has said that, no, they are true. Okay? They appear, they are actually factual. Like that he says. And in the commentary, if you read of Prabhupada, then you come to know that he's basically saying that the material world is temporary. It is true, but it is temporary. Okay, but the impersonal perspective is that no, it doesn't exist only. It is just a illusion which is in your mind. So you will see this also in the commentaries. So this is all happening because that word mrisha can be interpreted as false, or it can be interpreted as amrisha, true. So depending on how you look at that word, one word, you get two different, completely different meanings, and you can debate based on that. Of course, if you go to Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, they will they will go all way to prove their point of the Vaishnava theology. So that we will see later as well. But right, so this is how these things are. Then Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam. So here again, Prabhupada's translation is very unique because this is not what the other is saying, but it's similar to what Sridhara Swami says, not Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. This says Dhamna means what? Transcendental abode. Svena means what? This is a very, which is, free from any illusion. Svena, pure. Sada, always. Nirasta Kuhakam. Okay, that means it doesn't have any of the illusions of this material world. So that is Prabhupada's translation. It's coming from Sridhara Swami. But Sridhara Swami adds the point that this is the Swarupa Lakshan of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, remember we spoke in the beginning. Janmadhyasya yata is what? Tatastha Lakshan. Because sometimes creation is there, sometimes creation is not there. But spiritual world is always there. So it is Swarupa Lakshan. Like an address of someone. So he says it is just like a cow, which has a, like, if you know how to define a cow, in India, there are the traditional cow which is there. There are two main Swarupa Lakshan for a cow. One is that it should have a hump, and one is that it should have a sashna. Sashna means there is this lump of flesh which is hanging here, right, at the neck of the cow. These two things must be there. Then only it can be called as a cow. It must have a hump and it must have that sashna. So that becomes a Swarupa Lakshan of a cow. So similarly, what is the Swarupa Lakshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? He exists in his eternal abode. And what is the nature of that abode? It is free from all the illusion. That's it. That is his Swarupa Lakshan. Right? I meditate upon him. Now again, here is beautiful. Sridhara Swami says, Satyam Param Dhimahi. Vyasa is using the word in plural. Why is he using in plural? Because Vyasa wants to say, let us all meditate. Along with our disciples, we will meditate. Like that. That means Vyasa is indicating that, it's not that I am only meditating alone. We are all going to meditate like that. So this is the translation. So by and large, Prabhupada's translations comes from Sridhara Swami, except in one place, that Amrisha Amrisha, where Sridhara Swami uses the point that it is all false. He uses Mrisha. Prabhupada says, no, it is true, but it is temporary. Like that he uses. But otherwise, by and large, it comes. And again, Sridhara Swami elaborates all this Tatastha Lakshan, Swarupa Lakshan. This direct, indirect is again very nicely explained and so on. Right. So let's go ahead now. We have very limited time, so have many other things to see. So let's go ahead and see the next thing. Yeah. Next thing we will see is, now we all have heard that this Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1 is actually referring to the Gayatri Mantra. So how does it refer? So Jiva Goswami he has two commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam. One is called as Krama Sandarbha. Krama means in line. Verse by verse he has given commentary. And the other is he has written Shad Sandarbha. In Shad Sandarbha he takes different themes and he comments on it. So there are two types of commentaries he has done. Jiva Goswami has done very elaborately the Bhagavatam commentary. So we are looking briefly from the Paramatma Sandarbha here. So what he does here is he maps the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1 to the Gayatri. So how is that? Have a look at it, this table. So Janmadhyasya Yataha, that is the first phrase. That means what? The absolute truth possesses the ability to create, maintain, and destroy. So this is there in the Pranava, correct? This is there in the Pranava. I will not intentionally read out the Gayatri because that's not, you're not supposed to read it like that in public. So I'll not do that. Right? And even if you see, the words are not given in order intentionally, so that one cannot just read it like that. Then Swarat means what? That means supreme effulgent illuminator of the sun. Like the sun is, Swarat. It's here Swarat has the meaning of effulgent illumination, etc. Tene Brahma Hrida. This means what? It is a prayer for the inspiration of the intellectual faculty. That means we are praying that, oh Lord, please guide our intellect nicely. So where is that coming in the Bhagavatam? Tene Brahma Hrida, where Brahma also is getting that inspiration in the heart. So those who chant the Gayatri, they're basically praying for that intellectual faculty to awaken in them. All right, so that's the mood of it. Then Yatratra Sargo Mrusha means what? That is like Bhurgo Swaha. That means the three divisions of the absolute. Three Sargo. That means the Lord's creation has these three birds, na? Bhurloka, Bhuvarloka, Swargaloka. Basically, it is divided into three categories. Then Dhamna Svena means the Lord is transcendental. And the Lord is Devasya. Bhargaha means transcendental. He is transcendental. And Param and Varanyam basically means that he is worshipable. He is unka Varanyam. This means that he is worshipable, and hence let us meditate on him. So in this way, you see that the entire Gayatri has actually come in the first verse itself. That means it's a prayer. We are saying that let's pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is transcendental, who is the creator of the three worlds, who is manifesting as this effulgent illumination of the sun, who basically creates, maintains, and destroys everything. And we are praying to him that please inspire my intellectual faculty so that I will not go on the path of adharma, like that. Correct. So this is the beautiful meaning, which is again part of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is another meaning. We saw two meanings already. Prabhupada's translation, we saw Sridhara Swami. This is yet another one from the Paramatma Sandarbha, where we are seeing Jiva Goswami's meaning. Right. Let's go ahead now. Yeah. So now what we are going to do is we are going to see Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, what he has done, he has given 5 meanings for the same text. So let's go all over it. So in the first meaning, he talks about the verse as Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there he says that this meaning is like the lamp. So basically there are verses in the Bhagavatam where it compares Bhagavatam to a lamp. Right, so he says that this meaning is like the lamp. Janmatisiyata means what? He says from whom creation, maintenance, destruction happens. That is the same as we saw from Prabhupada, right? No, Anvayad Itarata. Now this is very beautiful. Anvayad Itarata means Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says the Lord is two causes of this creation. He's the material cause and he's the efficient cause. Now please try to understand what it means. The standard example in Vedanta is that of a pot. That means for a pot to be created, what all you need? One is you need clay, okay, the ingredients for the pot. That is called as material cause. And then you need the efficient cause. That means you need a wheel and all that, right? And then of course you need the potter also. So there is a potter, there is clay, there is wheel, and then there is the pot finally. So the potter here is the Supreme Lord. He only is arranging the clay, which is the material cause, and he's also arranging the efficient cause, which is like the wheel of the potter, which is the kala, right, or his glance. Now look at how he says this. The material cause itself has two parts. Now see, this is very interesting, a little technical. Pay attention here. The material cause itself has two parts. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says one is that the clay exists in the pot, which is called Anvaya in Sanskrit, and other is the pot exists in the clay, which is called Vyatikarena. Here again, Vyatikarena means Itarataha means the other one. So Anvaya means it is existing. Vyatikarena means the opposite. Itarataha means the other meaning. The other meaning is Vyatikarena. So that means the point is there is clay in the pot, and we can also say that there is pot in the clay. Correct. That means in the clay itself there is pot. Now you may say, I mean, everything else is not there in the clay, right? Like ice is not there in the clay, but pot is there in the clay. Just that somebody has to give shape to it. Okay, so similarly, so the whole idea is that, see, please try to understand. When everything enters Vishnu, that is Anvaya. Everything entering Vishnu means what? Okay, that means that Pralaya it happens, right? That means Vishnu only takes the whole universe in him. So we understand basically that, here the Vishnu is like the clay, and the pot is the material universe. So we understand the Lord is there in this Srishti, and Srishti is there in the Lord. You understood two ways. And when everything comes out of Vishnu, that is Vyatikarena. Because we understand, just like the pot is in the clay, we understand that the universe is existing in the Lord. The universe is existing in the Lord. Okay, so there are two ways of seeing it. The Lord is there in Prakriti and Prakriti is there in the Lord. That is Anvaya Vitara. Anvaya and Vyatikaran. You understood? So this is like Bhagavad Gita philosophy, 9.4, 9.5. The Lord is there in the material creation and material creation is also in him. So like that. And cha. Now here cha doesn't mean and. Cha means the other reason. What is the other thing? That is the efficient cause. That means the glance and the kala. Correct? Cha. Here cha means that. So basically, so from this we understand that the Lord from whom creation, maintenance, destruction happens is both the material and efficient cause of the universe. Correct? Now, Arteshu Abhijna Swarat. Arteshu means what? He has a specific purpose. What is to be created, what is not to be created, etc. Okay, that means when he's creating, with some purpose, he's creating this universe. That is called Arteshu. Abhijna means what? He's conscious. Okay, so we should not think that because he has been compared, he has been spoken as a material cause, right? So one shouldn't think material cause means matter changes, na? So we shouldn't think that he changes. No, he's conscious. That means he's a conscious entity. Okay, so though through Prakriti he does all these things, but he doesn't change. That is why Abhijna is said. And all these are connected to Vedanta Sutras. Actually, Sridhar Swami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur commentary is very, very elaborate. You know, when I was studying these commentaries, it took almost, I mean, my teacher explained these in almost 15 classes of 2 hours each. Almost 30 hours of explanations of these commentaries, which I'm just summarizing in 1 hour. So you can just imagine. I mean, the depth is phenomenal. If you want to go into that, then it's like pages and pages of commentary. It will take 30 hours. It took 30 hours for our teacher to just explain the first verse of the Bhagavatam. Okay, anyway. Swarat means what? Yeah, so that means he is independent of all these elements also. That is, one shouldn't think that he is creator means he has to have it, right? Then Tene Brahma Hriday Adikave. So see, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, what he does is he introduces questions. So he says, isn't Brahma the cause of everything? So he says, no, Lord only instructed Brahmaji in his heart. Then the question is, couldn't Brahmaji have known this knowledge by himself? No, even sages get bewildered. How can Brahmaji know by himself? He has to meditate on the Lord only and get. But then again, the argument. So how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes his commentaries, he raises objections. You know, there is an imaginary person who is raising objections, and for each of the objection, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur will take the next verse from the Bhagavatam and say that how that objection is answered. So there is a whole logical sequence in the verse. So that's how the commentaries are, correct? So they'll take word by word and say that, hey, look, right, like as we are seeing here, we are doing the same thing, but in a very short fashion. Okay. So then that person, that apparent debater, he's saying, can't Brahmaji know by himself? Answer is no, he cannot. Why? Because even great sages are bewildered. Then the argumentator who is there, he says Purva Pakshi, we call it. So there is a Purva Pakshi and there is a Uttara Pakshi. Purva Pakshi is the imagined argumentator. And the Uttara Pakshi is the Bhagavatam and the Acharya here who is answering them. Okay. So he's saying, the Purva Pakshi is saying, isn't the Lord's form material? Just like the fire appears as water and so on. Isn't the Lord's form also like this only? Right? Made up of all these things. So he says, no, yatrate sargo mrisha. One falsely thinks that the Lord's form is, sorry, 1 second. Where did it jump? Yeah. So he says, is the Lord's form material? No. One falsely thinks the Lord's form, yeah, as the matter of 3 moods. So here again, mrisha is used. Here is using the word mrisha. That means false, correct? One falsely thinks it is made up of 3 modes. It is not. Then somebody will say, just one. Yeah. So then again the argumenter says, how can anything be non-material? Aisa kuch hota hi nahi hai. There is nothing that is non-material. So he says, no. The Lord, through his power and sweetness, which is extraordinary, negates nirastha sada all false arguments about him. He says, no, it is not like that, right? So he says, then he says, that is why Satyam Param Dhimahi. Satyam Param Dhimahi means what? He says Atato Brahma Jignasa. So he basically, again, this is again another beautiful thing. Vishwanath Thakur will connect everything to different sutras from the Vedanta. So he says Param means Brahma, the greatest. Athatho means Satyam. So he again splits it. Atha. That means now therefore. Now therefore, because you have gone through Karmakand and you know that it is all temporary, now look to Satya. And Dhimahi is connected to Jignasa because inquiry leads to meditation. Okay. So like this he says. So basically, this is his first commentary, right? This is his first commentary. So what has he said in this basically? Right? Yeah, this one. Yeah, here. So this commentary, he has said the entire Bhagavatam is about meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom all this creation is happening. Okay, who knows why he has created, who only has given the knowledge to Brahmaji, and his form is not made up of the three modes of nature, and one shouldn't think that his form is material. So you see, the translations are different over there, right? Like that. Now you see the second explanation that Vishwanath Chaudhary Thakur gives. Here what he does, he says that the second explanation is like the sun. Okay, because now what he does, he is using this whole verse to talk about Krishna. So now when he says Janmadhyasya yatah, so now this is, the Sanskrit is so beautiful. As I said earlier, you can do anything with it. I mean, those who have that knowledge. So Janmadhyasya yatah, he splits the word a different place. Janma adi asya yatah. That means after his birth, yatah asya means here Krishna, he did other acts. Adi matlab etc. Other things he did. Like he told Vasudevna, take me to Mathura. So it means Janma means the Lord's Janma. Correct? Asya, Krishna himself, after his birth, what did he do? He told his father, take me to Mathura Adi. Baki bahut kuch bola unhone. And what did he do? Anvaya. Anvaya means anu ayat. Anu means later and ayat means went. That means later he went. Where he went? Itarataha. Now itarataha means to another place. Another place is also meaning of itarataha. Itarataha means or kahi. So where did he go? He went to Gokul Vrindavan. Okay, so now you see the whole verse has, it appears that everything has changed. Abhignya. Why did he do that? Because he was very knowledgeable. What was he knowledgeable about? Arteshu, his purpose. What was his purpose? To show love to the Vrajavasis and escape from Kamsa, but later come and kill Kamsa. This is Arteshu. He knew everything. The Lord was Abhignya. So somebody may say, was he too dependent on the Vrajavasis? No, he is Swarat. He was not dependent on anyone. Okay, and what did he do in Vrindavan? He showed his own form, Brahma, to Brahmaji. When did he do that? During Brahma Vimohan Leela. So during Brahma Vimohan Leela, Adi Kavaye Brahma, he showed him Brahma Hridaya. Here Brahma means the first word Brahma is spiritual. It means he showed all his forms as spiritual, right? To Brahmaji during Brahma Vimohan Leela. Muhyanti at Suryaha. Somebody may say, Are, how come Brahma got bewildered? Are, every Devata is bewildered by Krishna. What is because Brahma? Indra got bewildered. Everybody got bewildered because of it. Okay. Then he says, when things like water, fire, earth come together, Vinimayo means when they come together, when other things like when normal things come together, it is false and temporary. But Krishna's form is beyond the three modes. Okay, and it is Amrisha. So now here he uses that word Mrisha as Amrisha. If you remember, sometimes they're using it as Mrisha, sometimes Amrisha, different meaning comes. Dhamna Svena. Dhamna here means Dham. Like we say, na Dham. So Dham means here Mathura. By his sweet Dham, Svena, he destroys Nirasta, the ignorance of all the jivas, Kuhakam, always. Okay, so when Krishna came by his own spiritual abode, he destroys all the ignorance of the jivas. Let it meditate on Krishna. Okay, now if you see this whole verse, it has got a completely different meaning, right, in the Sanskrit. Okay, so here it is not the Supreme Personality of God, it is more specifically Krishna. In the previous meaning, it was not like that. It was a more general description that let us meditate on the Supreme Lord, who is the cause of creation, maintains destruction. Here it is not like that. Here let us meditate on Krishna, who after his birth told his father, take me to Vrindavan. Why? Because he knew that he has to show love to the Vrajavasis and later come and kill Kamsa. And he went and bewildered Brahmaji. And he showed his spiritual form to Brahmaji, and then he also bewildered all the other devatas also. And his form is not matter. So it is not made up of all this earth, water, fire, air, ether, but it is beyond all three modes. And by his sweet abode, he destroys the ignorance of all conditions. So this becomes the meaning. So again, it's a very it's a very, very different meaning, but that's how it is, right? So now let's go to some other meaning. So Vishwanath Chakravarti doesn't stop with this, so he gives some other meaning. So let's have a look at this. Now look at the third meaning, Janmadiyasya Yatah. Now here what happens is, here the goal of 1.1.1 becomes Madhurya Rasa. So here he says, here he again splits the word differently. Janma and Adhyasya. Adhyasya means he says like Adi Rasa. So Adi Rasa can be said as Adhyasya. He goes into that Sanskrit in great detail. Just like Bhimasena can be called as Bhima. So Adi Rasa can be called as Adhyasya. So Janma Adhyasya means from whom Shringara Rasa arises. So now we are actually worshipping the Lord who is the source of Shringara Rasa. Okay. And how does this Shringara Rasa manifest? Anvayad and Itarata. Now, Anvaya has another meaning in Sanskrit called union. And Itarata means separation, the opposite of Anvayad. So that means Shringara Rasa is manifested in Samyoga and Viyoga, right? Union and separation. And who is this Krishna? Who is the cause of Shringara Rasa? He is expert in 64 arts. Arteshu. Arteshu means he knows everything. And is very conscious of all the rasas of love. Somebody may say, even so many other people are also conscious of love. Like Nala and all such people were there who are mundane lovers, but they were also knowing everything about love. But no, these other people are dependent. Krishna is independent, right? He imparted this knowledge to Bharat Muni. Now here, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavi has a completely different meaning. Here, Adi Kavi is Bharat Muni. So, Bharat Muni is the writer of Rasa Shastra. So, what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Bharat Muni has written about Shringara Rasa. So, what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur does is, he says that Krishna only gave the knowledge of Shringara Rasa to Bharat Muni. And he wrote about it, correct? Bharat Muni wrote about it in his Rasa Tattva. Mukhyanti et Suryaha. And ordinary scholars and poets they discuss love in mundane heroes and they are all bewildered by that. The mundane Shringara Rasa bewilders everybody. And then what happens because of their bewilderment? When they, just as one sees water as fire, etc., like one sees mirage and all that, one thinks Krishna's rasa of Madhurya is also mundane. All these mundane fellows, what they think Krishna's dance, everything is also mundane. But actually, in him only the Shringara rasa arises truly. Here, Mrisha, here now it is Amrisha. It is not Mrisha here. Where Trisarga means, this is like detailed, what shall I say, Rasa Tattva. So, Rasa Shastra, which is there are different types of meanings in the statements called Dwani, Guna, Alankara. I'm not going into that. These are about various allegories, similes, etc., which are used to describe Rasa. Okay, so he says in Shringara Rasa, there are 3 types of meanings that come, which are all true, Amrisha, like allusion, qualities, figure of speech. And by his extraordinary Madhurya Rasa, Dhamna Svena, what he does, he defeats the critics of his Rasa. And let us meditate on the Supreme Lord, who is the source of this Shringara Rasa, like that. So this is like, again, a third meaning, which is completely different. Now, again, if we thought that this is all that was there, again, for the same verse as yet another beautiful meaning. Now here what happens is, let us meditate on the absolute truth is now not only Krishna, it is Radha and Krishna. So Janmadhyasya Yatah. Now here Janmadhyasya means from whom arises Madhurya Rasa. But now the meaning is not only from Krishna Madhurya Rasa comes. Madhurya Rasa comes from whom? Radha and Krishna both. Okay, so here that context changes. Now here Anvayad means Anuayad. Krishna went behind. Whom did he go behind? He went behind Radharani. Itaratha means Baki sab gopiyon ko chhod diya. He left all the other gopis behind. So this happens during the Ras Leela, right? He leaves all the gopis behind and he goes only behind Srimati Radharani. So Anuyad Itaratha. And who is Krishna? Krishna is expert. He's Dhira Lalita. He's conquered by his beloved. And he understands Rasa perfectly. And who is Swarat here? No, Radharani is Swarat. Because Krishna is possessed by her. So she is considered Swarat. Okay. And here now Brahma Hrida Adi Kavi. Now here Adi Kavi Shukdev Goswami. Who revealed this knowledge? Radha and Krishna revealed this knowledge to Shukdev Goswami. And Mukhyanti et Surya, who is getting bewildered? Vaishnavas faint. Now it's not, here Mukhyanti has a different meaning. Mukhyanti means, they faint in ecstasy on hearing about Radha and Krishna. Why do they faint? Because contradictory qualities arise due to ecstasy. Tejo Vayu Mrita Mita means like the moon stops. The moon is a fiery element, it stops. Yamuna becomes frozen, it is water, but it becomes land. And stones which are there, they melt when they hear Krishna's flute. So all these contradictory qualities arises, And this Trisargo Mrisha. Now here again, it is Amrisha. It means true. That means there are three categories of energies like Sri, Bhu, Neela, three categories of Shringara Rasa, I mean Gopi, Queen, and Lakshmis. And all these are coming from where? From Radha and Krishna only. So Radha and Krishna are the source of all this. Damna Svena Siddha. By the influence of these two, Damna Svena here means by the influence of Radha and Krishna without any deceit or cheating. Nirasta Koham, let us meditate on Sri Sri Radha Krishna. So here now this is the third meaning, So this meaning is called as the fruit. So it's like Madhura Rasa, and this thing is called as the fruit. Okay, now the last one, right? Now the last meaning. Yeah, so in the last meaning, what happens is we are going to meditate on bhakti. So that's how it becomes. So here the goal becomes bhakti. So if you remember, the first one of Vishnu Thakur was general supreme personality God. Second was Krishna. Third was Madhurya Ras. Fourth was Radha Krishna. Now it is bhakti. So here Janmadhyasya Yataha, how he splits the Janma plus Adhyasya plus Yataha. That means by which Yataha there is Janma of Parameshwara. Adhyasya means Parameshwara. Adhyasya means Adi Purusha Visena. तो किससे परमेश्वर का जन्म होता है? From where does the birth of Parameshwar happen? If you ask, the answer is by bhakti. Okay, so here the object of this whole verse becomes bhakti, because from bhakti there is the janma of Parameshwara. And anvayad itarata. Itarata means what? In other processes like karma jnana. In karma jnana there is janma of Parameshwara only when bhakti is added. Anvayad here. Anvaya also means accompaniment. That means Anvayad Itarata here means in other processes like karma jnana. Suppose somebody is not doing bhakti, is interested in karma jnana. For such a person, when bhakti is added only, he gets something. Here Anvayad means added. Arteshu abhijna swarat. Here Arteshu means what? Bhakti swarat. Okay, but for other purposes, Arteshu, like obtaining Brahman or Paramatma, one must be aware of bhakti. That means here the point is, see, bhakti is independent, but if somebody is a jnana yogi, he wants Brahman, even such a person has to add bhakti. So if you recall the discussion on 8th chapter Bhagavad Gita we discussed this, right? That someone who who knows about, even if somebody wants Brahman, he has to add some bhakti in his life. Only then he gets that. So that's the point being discussed here. Bhakti is Swarat, but for other purposes, Arteshu, you have to be conscious of adding bhakti, else you will not get that benefit. Tene, now here Tene is Narad Muni. Hrida, in his heart he had bhakti, and he gave that bhakti to Vyasa, Adi Kavi. Now here Adi Kavi is Vyasadeva. I mean, so we have seen so many things about Adi Kavi. Adi Kavi was Brahmaji, Adi Kavi was Shukadeva Goswami, Adi Kavi was Bharata Muni, correct? So different meanings of Adi Kavi have been coming up till now. And here the meaning of the word Adi Kavi is Vyasadeva. He is the Adi Kavi. So somebody may say, Arey, Vyasadeva should have known about bhakti himself, na? Why did Narada have to come and give bhakti to Vyasadeva? No, because everybody gets bewildered. Even Vyasadeva got bewildered without understanding the power of bhakti. Tejo vari mritam yata virimayo yatratri sargomsha. This is very interesting. Yatratri sargomsha here means bhakti doesn't have any of the three modes in it. That means, but sometimes we say, na, Satvika bhakti, Rajasika bhakti, Tamasika bhakti. Why do we say that? Because it gets added in it. Just like, suppose, milk is milk, but if milk is boiling, we say hot milk. If milk has water in it, then we say diluted milk. Or milk has some mud in it, we may say dirty milk. But actually, milk is independent of all this. So similarly, he says, Tejo Vari Mridam. You may add all these three things in bhakti, but bhakti is still independent. Bhakti actually doesn't have any of these three modes. Yatratri Sargo Mrisha. Okay, these three things are not there. Now here Mrisha means false. It doesn't mean true. Okay, it's a different context of Mrisha. And bhakti has such sweetness, dhamna svena, that it can always defeat those logicians who argue against bhakti. And let us meditate on the process of bhakti. Like that he concludes. Okay, so this is like a beautiful explanation. So Srimad Bhagavatam, so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says it's like the lamp, it's like the sun, it is like the fruit, and it is like Bohini Murti. So lamp was the first meaning, sun was the second meaning, fruit was the later three meanings. And Mohini Murti, he says, because only those who are devotees can appreciate all these meanings. Otherwise, those who are not bhaktas, they will get cheated. Right, so yeah, so that's it. So that's all I wanted to say for today. So we were just looking at different meanings of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We saw, just to recap, We started with a verse, and then we saw Srila Prabhupada's, yeah, we saw Srila Prabhupada's meaning, translations, as well as Sridhar Swami. We saw one major difference, that Sridhar Swami uses an impersonal understanding because of what he calls as Badi Amisha Nyaya, using a bait to attract impersonalists. We saw Jiva Goswami's one of his meanings, where he maps this thing to Gayatri Mantra. And then we saw 5 different meanings of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. One was a general meaning, one was the sun, the second meaning was the sun. Second meaning was Krishna, one was Supreme Personality of Godhead. Second meaning was specifically Krishna. Then the third meaning was Madhurya Rasa, Krishna, the source of Madhurya Rasa. Fourth was Radha and Krishna together. And the fifth one was Bhakti. Correct? Hare Krishna, we'll stop here. Any questions? I mean, I don't think there may be any questions, but if any question is there, we can take. Anybody with a raise of hand? Yeah. Okay. We can stop there. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.